Hello, welcome back to the watch list. And there are some stocks that I just want to cover this week. So let's start off with the banks. We have the OCBC above the 20-day MA, which is what I require for the first sign at least to be bullish. So next week, if OCBC can continue to move higher to retest this resistance at 1146, then we can see more upward movement. And UOB similar, is above its 20-day MA, but slightly below its 50-day MA. But then it also need to retest its resistance at 2718. So in order to continue to move higher, surprisingly, DBS is back near to its all-time high level, which is the strongest bank out of the three. So hopefully UOB and OCBC can play catch up next week. Let's move on to the tech. I particularly like UMS discounter because if you look at the chart, I have covered last week that I'm ambushing this counter around 137 to 139. It touched 139 and never give me a chance to buy at this level and immediately rebounded next day. So you might ask, why wouldn't I buy at 139 when you touch it? But I'm staring at a long black candle, which is not my style of trading. I'm not going to buy on a long black candle, but rather I will buy on a white candle. So I was hoping that the next day give me a subtle white candle along this level or drift down to 137 and then rebound. But nevertheless, to go close to the week, we are looking at a weekly chart that it has formed a hammer, which provides a glimmer of hope, and hopefully it can continue to move higher. And 150 is its immediate target. Of course, it must cross 145 first lah. This is a previous resistance, rather previous support turn resistance. And you really need to break out from there. As we can see, there is one retest and it failed to break out. Franken and Nanofirm, right? This is the next two counter that I'm going to cover. Franken looks a bit weak. The target at 163 remains intact, but I suspect there might be some rebound next week as the candle suggests a descending wedge. The candle pattern forms a descending wedge, which may suggest a quick rebound back higher and retest this 200-day MA, which probably gives us a 4.3% upside. So if it cannot break above resistance, it may pull back to resume its downward movement, and ultimate target will be 163 and below. Nanofirm is weak. Last week we talked about the hammer, but no confirmation. It breaks down immediately, and it struggle to move back up with all these black candles. So Nanofirm has been forming black candles since this shooting star, and it has gone down and down and down. So probably there might be some fundamental issue that prevents the counter from going up. So for the time being, we shall avoid this counter. Now, AEM forms a nice consolidation over here, but I have some concern because the weekly chart, I'm staring at a huge shooting star on the previous week, which is not very friendly. In my experience, when I see this shooting star, it doesn't tend to turn out to be a good ending. But nevertheless, there are still, people say TA is just 70% or 80% accuracy. There are still some 30 or 20% which we can see it get negated. So hopefully this white candle can help to push AEM back towards this selling zones, which the buyer overcome the seller, and then we may see more upward movement going forward. So the ultimate resistance will be around 537, which very close to our original target, which was 540. Let's move on to the US market. So those counter that I covered last week on the US market that might potentially move up didn't really move up yet. They remained at the bottom, but they didn't break support, which means that we got to probably wait for one more week. Like for example, Lemonade remains at the support level over here at this low. Palantir at this low. Salesforce remains at the low despite the US market had the mini Santa Claus rally. Teladoc also remains at the low. So we've got to have some more patience, but the closings for these counters are pretty okay. Like for example, Teladoc, Hammer, Salesforce, we have a piercing pattern. Palantir, we have a a good star at the bottom. Lemonade as a hammer. So let's see whether they can move up next week. Tesla rebounded strongly after Elon Musk says that he is going to stop selling. So Tesla rebounded back to its resistance at 1072, and next week if it breaks out, the next resistance zone will be 1174 to 1203, and let's hope that it moved into this zone. Amazon at its low, but there are some signs that it may potentially rebound back towards to test its resistance 3485. Let's look at the indicator. We are looking at multiple support over here. So classics are moving up, MACDs are turning up. Well, most importantly, the weekly chart shows that it is on a 20-week and 50-week MA support. This is a very important support for Amazon, and a rebound back to 3485 is crucial. Alibaba, it has been very downbeaten, and I refuse to cover this counter for quite some time. It is on a downward channel, mini downward channel consolidation over here, and needed a breakout. So will 2022 be a new start for the downbeaten tech counters in the China? Well, we really need the China government to stop cracking down, or the transformation turn to be positive for this counter, and then we can see a breakout for Baba over here. Once it breaks out successfully, then we may have some chance to see it rebound back towards 142, but fingers crossed this tech counters remains weak, and then we are looking at staring at a strong weakness hit if it can't break out. Now, Meta platform is right now sitting at confluence of support, as you can see here, 250, 20 MA support. MACDs are moving up to the positive region, stochastic crossing up, and we are looking at the resistance, major resistance at 344. So if next week we test 344 and break up from there, there might be a chance. Coinbase, strong rally back to its resistance level, as I have mentioned during the midweek that it may rebound back up. So I told this to my clients. You probably are one of them watching this, and I realized that I think only my clients watching this. So Coinbase are about to break out from its 268 resistance. If it doesn't break out, doesn't matter, you may consolidate a bit, and eventually if it breaks out, there might be another rally. The target would be around, if you continue move up around here, which is about 303. Okay, so let's hope that this bottom fishing is successful. Next, we are going to move into the Singapore market again. Back to Singapore market, I almost forgot to cover these few counters that I want to cover. Like for example, IFAS, we can start to see a potential movement into a next direction, as we can see the upward movement now covers more than half of its downwards movement. So if it turns out to form a higher low next week or the week after, then there might be some opportunity. So keep it in your watch list on IFAS. ISDN is trying to cover its, or rather it has covered its gap and then trying to recover, where it must break up from 67 cents, which it has tested for quite a few days, but it doesn't manage to break above this 67 cents. So let's see whether next week we can have a strong closing for this counter above 67 cents. The weekly chart shows a mini hammer, and we can look forward for a confirmation that would potentially help the stocks to move back up, and target is 75. All right, so have a good week ahead, and I will see you next year.